Lonzo Ball is the most underappreciated player in the NBA. And the reason why is because he's not flashy. He doesn't show up on ESPN every single night. He's not lacing threes from the logo. He's not dunking over 7-foot centers. And he's certainly not breaking down his defender play in and play out like a Kyrie Irving. No, instead he just plays his role. And in this video, I want to illustrate why it's more important for you to play your role than it is to try and be the star, the guy, the alpha. And I'm going to do so by detailing Lonzo's career and making parallels to what I see online and in the workplace across America. Now, with that being said, Lonzo Ball, where do we begin? Well, in high school and college, when he played at Chino Hills and UCLA respectively, he was a fantastic prospect, one of the top prospects. He was extremely tall for a point guard. He had great vision, great passing abilities, super quick in the open floor, could knock down the three, finish through contact, and he was great on the defensive end with a long wingspan. People said he would be a Jason Kidd who was even taller. And if you don't know, Jason Kidd, multi-time All-Star, one of the best point guards of all time, fantastic player, led the New Jersey Nets to 2 straight NBA Finals appearances. So people expected Lonzo Ball to be really, really good, and he was selected number 2 overall by the Lakers. That, of course, didn't end up panning out too well, especially with Jason Tatum being selected in the same draft. But in any case, Lonzo Ball, he was selected number 2. It didn't work out so well in Los Angeles, and he was traded for Anthony Davis, along with other players like Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart, so that the Lakers could try and make a run at a title, so that they could get LeBron, his sidekick, and ultimately win a championship. It worked, so the trade worked out well for them in my eyes, and Lonzo Ball went to the Pelicans. Now, after the Pelicans, he went to the Bulls, and in Chicago, he really started to find his footing. He really started to figure out who he was as a player and what he really brought to the table that other players simply couldn't. Many of those qualities were those that I listed previously. He could rebound very, very well. He could shoot the three very well off the catch. He could finish through contact. He was great at cutting. He was great on the defensive end. Great instincts, super quick, long wingspan. And he was amazing in the open court. Once he got to Chicago, he realized that if he simply did these things well and complemented players like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, he would be a star in his role. And it worked to perfection because the Bulls, during this season that he really shined, they were arguably the best team in the league before, of course, Lonzo got injured. And what this showcases is that it's more important for you and I to have a realistic assessment of our abilities and the circumstances surrounding us. Not all of us can be LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan. Not all of us can be freaks of nature. In fact, most of us won't be. 99.9% of people are not freaks of nature by definition. And so for you to shoot, to try and be like a LeBron James, to try and be like a Shaquille O'Neal, it is literally a waste of your time because it will not happen. Not because it's probably not going to happen, but because it will not happen. You are literally wasting your breath. And so what I would rather people do, because this is what I do, is recognize that I can be a fantastic basketball player, but I'm only 6 foot and I'm never going to be that quick. So how far can I really go? Is it worth it for me to post on my Instagram saying, day 1 of 150 training to be in the NBA? Can I make it? No, I can't make it to the NBA. I'm not going to be an NBA basketball player. And that's fine. I can still be really, really good. And I can still get better and better and better and learn from the sport and become a better man through the sport. But I'm not going to be in the NBA. Especially since even though I wasn't gifted physically, I wasn't gifted through connections. I didn't get a lot of playing time in AAU. I didn't get to play high school basketball because I developed slower. I didn't have my dad training me day in and day out whenever I was a kid, like a Tiger Woods. I didn't start early. And so the deck was always stacked against me in that regard, and I'm not alone in this. Basically, everyone feels the same way or was put in the same position. Shuffle the cards around a bit, but the fundamental truth is the same. Not all of us are going to be megastars. Not all of us should. And in fact, basically none of us should. Instead, we should be stars in our role. Because if we don't recognize that there are inherent limitations on our physical biology, our mental biology, and the way we relate to the world, as in the environment we're raised in, who we're raised around, what we're exposed to as children, as teenagers and young adults, then we're never going to make any progress in this world. And we need to juxtapose the reality we are facing and the aspirations we have. And we need to find the happy medium between those two in order to live the fulfilling lives that we can, to become the authentic people that we're supposed to be, at least in my eyes. If we can do this properly, if we can walk that tightrope, that middle path between egregious aspiration and objective reality, then we're going to live something out of a dream. But if we don't, we're simply going to fail. You're either going to fail through not shooting high enough and being miserable because you know you could have done more, even with the little you were given. Or you're going to fail because you are going to try and fly all the way to the sun. And you will be aghast whenever you see your wings melting and you subsequently falling into the sea. This is the problem with America, though, is that everyone wants to be the star. Everyone wants to be the number one receiver. Why would you want to be the number one receiver? I would rather be the number 2 or the number 3 that catches the ball 2 or 3 times a game, but I average 18 to 20 yards per catch. No eyes on me. I would rather make the big play and be a contributor to the team, at least in my position. Now, if I was Justin Jefferson, yeah, put me in number 1. But everybody thinks they're Justin Jefferson when they're simply not. Everybody thinks they're Randy Moss when they're simply not. Everybody thinks they're Kobe Bryant when they're simply not. Unless you're Kobe Bryant, you shouldn't be taking 22, 25 shots a game. You should probably be taking 15 or 12 or 10 or 8. That is what you're supposed to do. And if you make them and you do the other things well, you allow Kobe to look even better. And you thusly get rewarded in turn. This is how things are conducted. This is how they've always been conducted. And the efficiency of a society, the efficiency of a team, the efficiency of a business is going to be determined by the buy-in of players, the buy-in of people in the organization, the buy-in of citizens. What percentage of people are willing to be stars in their role, whether that is the absolute zenith, those players on top of Mount Olympus, or those players who are simply doing the dirty work? Those players who are getting physical underneath the boards. Those players who are constantly hitting the line of scrimmage, trying to make anything work. That's what you need to assess within yourself. But what we also need to do is we need to realize that all players deserve respect, so long as they are filling their roles. So long as they are playing their roles to perfection. So long as they are starring in their positions, they deserve respect. We need to highlight these players more. Perhaps not as much as the absolute megastars, because let's be realistic, it's not going to happen. It's not going to get as many eyeballs, but we need to highlight them more. And internally within our organizations, within our family units, within our friend groups, within our towns, we need to highlight these people more. We need to have more internal respect for them so that what they lack in media coverage, they get in praise amongst their own. And I believe if we can do this, our society can be strong again. We could develop stronger social ties. We could develop stronger social bonds. We can help each other tackle tasks that are much bigger than any of us could possibly handle alone, whether we're capable of being the absolute superstars or not. And so really I make this video to ask you the question, what path are you going to choose? Because if you pick the path of an Icarus, you will fall to the sea. There's a reason why you're not LeBron. It's because you're not meant to be. But if you pick the path of someone who is realistic and aspirational, you may just get everything that you want. But perhaps the reason why you won't pick that path is because it's scary. Because it's actually more terrifying to receive everything you internally want than it is to believe and hope that you can get this fantastical life while deep down knowing you never fucking will. That's why so many people pick the path of ridiculous aspiration, the path of a Howard Hughes, a man who never saw himself as anything but a genius, a man who never saw himself as anything but a tycoon, when in fact he was nothing but a visionary and a tinkerer that couldn't run a business to save his life and couldn't handle his personal affairs to save the skin on his back. So ask yourself the question, what can you actually do? Who can you actually become? Stretch that out as far as you can. But once it breaks, it breaks. And then you need to reassess. Ask yourself that question. And if you can walk the tightrope properly, you will be so fulfilled personally and you will be so productive communally that you won't be able to believe that what you're living is true. If you don't, you're going to be like everyone else in history, an abject failure who experiences nothing but disappointment and suffering. The choice is yours. I know which one I'm making, but the best part is, you watching this video, you get to decide which one I'm making. Because I know which one I'm making internally, but you have to come to your own conclusion which one you believe I am. That's the fun part about making videos, and that's the fun part about communicating any message. But, yeah, let me know what you think of this video. If you gained value out of it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. This is the New Da Vinci. Much love. Peace. Adios.